Hello, I think we got a great one today. We're going to be taking a look at the Valkyrie X12F, and I'd like to thank my friends at Valkyrie for sending me the sample fan to take a look at and review for all of you today. No money exchanged hands, they just give me the product to take a look at. So a little bit of spec about the fan. Pretty much a bog standard 120mm class fan in terms of basic information. It's on the screen. Let's get into it. If I told you that one of these fans was a reverse blade, would you believe me? Well, one of them is, and I just wanted to kind of really get a good visual representation of the reverse blade versus a regular blade all at the same time. Even though this review will focus on one or the other, I'm kind of filming both simultaneously. So the reverse blade is actually this one, the black. And so that means the air is going towards the camera, while this one is pushing air back into my computer case. And both these two fans, basically the only illumination you got is around the edges. Up to you to decide if you like the aesthetic or not. I'm not here to judge. It's not my personal forte, if that matters at all. Other notable notes, we're going to take a look at the design. The central hub, nice and centered, no movement on it whatsoever, which is good because it's a metal ring. And it's mounted just straight up in the middle. Gotta start again. If you take a look at the back, again, it's very basic looking on the back. Really, actually, you can't even see the RGB. If you take a look at it from the side, you're going to be getting a look at, something like that. And that's fine. It gets you a lighting effect, and, it's like, you decide. Reverse blade one, so you'd actually be taking a look at it kind of like that, bottom of your case. Air blowing up. And, having a set of these in the same color, or depending on if you really like mixing and matching colors, that's pretty cool. And, all right, to get a closer look at the two different, same fan, should be the overall same blade design, just one in push, one in pull, effectively, from standard frame design, implementations, I don't know. You can get a good idea of it. So it's got that fairly modern hybrid blade design. It's got a little bit of this sawtooth. I believe that it was first seen on the Gentle Typhoon, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just there to help with airflow patterns coming off the interior of the blade, and can potentially help with noise levels. But there's really not much any extra engineering there. It's got a nice big rotor disc, potentially metal here. I don't know if it's just metal glued on, but you can see a metal plate right there, which is an indication of overall quality of it. But we haven't gone into the performance testing yet. And I'm dropping fans. Luckily, I'm sitting on the floor. But, it's like if I'm comparing Ford design to Ford blade, it's like that's what they look like against each other. And it looks near and identical to the flow patterns that we see. Sorry, I got distracted here for a minute. So there's the sawtooth right there. Oh, that's interesting. So it's not exactly the same. So on this one, the sawtooth is right here at the front. But there, it's on the back. So they used the exact same fan design and just rotated it. That could work, but it could also not work depending on things, because it means air is flowing this way into it. You got these sawtooths on it on this side of the hub, which does make sense because it could help with interference with these struts. But you would want to make sure to do a thorough analysis and not just, wing it. Otherwise, there will be performance differences between the fan blades, as opposed to just a mirror type effect, which this isn't quite. It's literally the exact same fan blade design, just attached to the fan in reverse. So I'd also done a previous series or a video on making a contra fan, and I just want to demonstrate something. So right now with this one, the air is flowing back into my case, right? This one, the air is flowing back into my case. So this one's going to rotate clockwise. This one's going to rotate counterclockwise. Now, if we take a look at the struts, they're not mirror images of each other, which means if I put it so they're lined up over each other, I really don't know if that's going to show up well on camera, but basically what that means is that you got twice as much obstruction between leading into this back blade, because you're going to have all these struts and they're not lined up there. So I don't know, I guess it would be really cool if like one of these companies would mirror these struts so you could make a weird contra fan like this if you wanted to. And so each of the struts would line up with each other rather than, blocking off more of the back fan. But, that's not a normal use case, and I actually wouldn't recommend making your own at-home contra fan. But I just wanted to note that because I did get that question during that video. But anyways, let's now get into the performance data for, well, one of these fans.
Before we get into the data, I would like to thank Mint Mobile for being today's video partner. Thanks to Mint Mobile's wireless plans, it is possible to not only switch away from big, expensive mobile companies, but also to have a quality, affordable plan for me and my family. Mint Mobile's premium wireless plans start at just $15 a month for a 3-month plan. For that, I can get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. I can bring my own phone and keep my current phone number, so you don't need to memorize a new phone number, something I have always found difficult. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones have, you can sign up and activate immediately right from your own phone, from the comfort of your own home. If by any chance your phone doesn't have an eSIM card, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. And right now, for new customers, Mint Mobile is offering 50% off their 12-month unlimited plan. It's the best deal of the year, but it's only available for a limited time. If you're interested in learning more about Mint Mobile and switching, visit my link up above or the link in the video description down below.
The first series of tests are in the case simulation test. So this is the airflow from the back of the front fans all the way to the CPU socket using 4 key measurement locations, and the 6's mark is extra special because it also includes, assuming your fans are at the bottom of your case, blowing up towards your GPU. Now, like I mentioned just a second ago, it assumes a front to back airflow and a tower-style air cooler for this optimized type airflow. If you're making a smaller, more compact computer case, it's more of a pressure type scenario in terms of how the fans have to interact to cool down the system. So you do want more pressure-oriented situations, which are more like my CFM test later on in this video, or my CPU cooler testing, which is air speed going through that device, which is, again, a more of a pressure scenario, like forcing air into a smaller, more compact case. So I think that we pretty much covered the 6's mark. Now the 9. The 9's mark is basically a compact tower. Think a case that can hold a standard ATX motherboard, but not a lot of extra room on the front. So it'd be a short GPU, that kind of design. 11-inch mark are your standard mid-tower computer cases. So 320mm class fans would fit in its length, or it theoretically could fit even if there's some ventilation for it. And then truly large towers are at the 14.5-inch mark. 340mm class fans would be in that category. So we need something to compare against. I created a control fan. So it's based 3 parts X12 X25 to 1 part A14, blending the data together to create a, quote, 130mm perfect fan. It's not really perfect. Blending them together to try to figure out what fans really do well, what fans don't do really well, and just try to create a baseline to compare everything up against. So the X12, and I also have on this graph the X12 reverse, there'll be a separate video review for that fan, are ranked on this graph at my noise normalized value. At 100% PWM fan signaling, this is where they rank, as well as on here, the RPM it was spinning and the noise level it generated. Then we need to compare it against other fans. So the X12F is this yellow line. The teal line with the box as its symbol is the reverse version of it, and this is my 10.5 decibel reading. And it is in the bottom part of the pack. It isn't too far off from this main sequence, but like this bottom end one is the Air Penetrator Pro. What else is towards the bottom here? This red line. Swab fan, GT12 pressure fan. So those are the bottom end of what I really am looking for in okay fans. So they're a little bit on the low side. Would like to see a little bit more engineering done to make improvements on it on a version 2 of these fans. Taking a look at in bar graph form, just so it's a simplified view, the 6 and the 11 mark are the 2 data points that I chose to display. And it basically shows the contrast of just how far down the graph these fans end up placing compared to a bunch of other ones. At my 17.5 decibel, rounded up to 18 for purposes of the labeling on the graph, this is where the X12F ranks. It's overall a little bit better here, in my opinion. It's still at the bottom end, but it's closer, except for at truly large towers. So it's an okay positioning for this fan in terms of its performance. Again, taking a look at the bar graph form, it is towards the bottom, even ranking amongst these other fans. This isn't in order from like first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Some of these are, but it just is to try to show a good amount of scale on this graph, where I have some of the worst ones also listed on here. So it's okay performer, not anything exemplary, unfortunately. At 100% PWM fan signaling, it falls to the bottom of the graph once again. Spinning at, correction, I highlighted the wrong fan in yellow. So this purple line that is this diamond pattern right here, I'm tracing it with my mouse cursor, I do apologize for that, is the X12F. My graphs have already moved on from this fan, and it's sitting right here in the bottom part of the graph, but it's not in terrible position. It's actually doing okay. Once again, it's just kind of an okay performer. It's not exemplary, it's not terrible, it's okay. Locking in specific RPM, so 800 RPM, has the fan perform. Displaying the 6 and 11 inch mark, it is towards the bottom of the graph. Its noise level is a little on the high side for the amount of airflow it produces, but it's not too utterly terrible. It's okay. At 1,500 RPM, as it moves up, it's okay. It's towards the bottom. It's not the worst. It ends up beating out the P12 Max white fluid dynamic bearing. It's slightly noisier by a few decibels. But yeah, at approximately 2,000 RPM, it's basically in the middle of the pack. When we look at its noise levels, it is a little bit on the high side compared to other fans around it, but it's not terrible. So once again, it's an okay fan. Taking a look at the 9-inch placement in my case simulation test, meters per second versus decibels. And this time the X12F is this yellow with the cross in it. And at the 9-inch mark, it's in the middle of the pack here with these subsample selection of fans that I've decided to display. Certainly not the worst performer, not the best performer, kind of in the middle. It's okay. Taking a look at the same data, this time in Zone. Zone is just a different way of taking a look at noise data, where it tends to compact quieter noise levels while stretching out things as they get louder. And once again, it's doing okay. It's in that middle area. Now we're on to performance through my CPU air cooled. It's the Noctua U12A. Once again, the control fan is my blended 120 and 140 millimeter class fan. So the first graph here on the left side is meters per second versus RPM, and this is a blade efficiency. It is how good is this blade design at shoving air through a cooler, and it lines up spot on perfectly with my control fan, which makes actually a good amount of sense. Fins in an air cooler tend to strain out the airflow to begin with. In terms of that noise efficiency, this is where the fan doesn't hit home. It's just a bit noisy for the amount of airflow it produces, and this would be the next step to work on a generation 2 of this fan. Thanks to viewers like you helping support this channel, watching the videos, subscribing. Some of you joining me as YouTube members or as Patreon members really goes a long way. I was able to buy a radiator. Unfortunately, I don't really have a test system to hook it up to yet, so I'm only generating airspeed going through it and then comparing it. And this is just a validation point of comparing airflow performance of the U12A air cooler to this radiator. This isn't actually thermal performance. This isn't how well they cool the device. This is how much resistance it is. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to generate thermal data. But as we can see on this graph, they are very similar in terms of the airspeed traveling through it, with the Nemesis actually being slightly easier than the U12A to push air through, ironically enough. And now we have a bar graph, a bunch of different fans on here. Noise normalized results. The red is my 10.5 decibel reading, and the blue is my 17.5 decibel reading. The X12F is in the bottom middle of the pack. It's an okay place for it to be, especially if you're not looking at running a ultra hot cooler, or I should say CPU, and you have an adequate cooler installed with it. So it's doing just fine, I would say. Locking in those specific RPMs, 800 RPM specifically, the X12F is in that bottom middle of the pack. Once again, this is the weighing factor on how each of the fans were ranked, which is why you have the really high performer of the Iceberg Thermal Extra 120 not ranked in first place because it is just way too noisy for the amount of airflow it produces. So the X12F is certainly in an okay position overall. When we bump things up to 1500 RPM, it starts dropping position and becomes the lower part of the graphs. It's okay, but it's falling behind from the main pack here. When we crank things up to 2000 RPM, it's holding on to that same position more or less that it was before. It's just not exemplary. It's a little bit off from the other fans, and 0.1 meters per second is actually a lot in terms of how much cooling you're going to get, even though it doesn't seem like that much. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to add actual thermal data to get more nuanced data, I hope, in the future. And now at 100% PW fan signaling, well, it's moved up slightly, but the graphs don't have exactly the same fans on it, but it's still in that lower part of the graphs, moving 2.2 meters per second of air. They're just other fans that tend to move quite a bit more than it, even at similar RPMs. So this is indicating that its blade design has a little bit more of a falling off point compared to other ones, and its noise level also indicating being a bit higher than other fans. Now, taking a look at that airspeed versus decibels compared to other fans. So we can see on here that it's basically in the middle of the pack. Again, it's not terrible, but compared to other top performing fans like the A12X25 is on here, and the Unifan P28, which I found to be particularly good, and even the TLB12 Extreme, it just doesn't quite reach the same level, even though the angle of the slope is very similar to it. So just getting those improvements in original noise value would be a significant gains for this fan. Same data, just take a look at its own. You can see it on here. Let's keep going. Now we're on to CFM testing. CFM testing is a very simple test. You got a fan, you got a tube, you slap the fan up against the tube, and you blow air down it. What this test does not tell you is how efficient the fan is at blowing air in a direction backwards from the fan, because the tube holds all the air in and forces it all to go in the same direction, while doing my open airflow case simulation test allows the air to expand sideways, simulating more what airflow that you get inside of a computer case. So I don't particularly like this test, and I don't think it's particularly as valid as other testing. But I have it in here. The control fan here is just the A12X25 because it's a different testing apparatus for 140s and 120 millimeter class fans. And the first one here is CFM versus RPM, and it's of the blade efficiency. The X12F lines up very closely to my control fan. If you're wondering why the reverse blade is sitting way down here, it's because the anemometer wants airflow to be rotating in one direction. So when air comes off of a fan, the air velocity comes in a rotating fashion in normal fans. And the anemometer wants the air to be spinning in the other direction or coming straight at it. And unfortunately, with my current testing methodology, it doesn't have flow straighteners at the back. So it ends up canceling and causing disruptions with the anemometer and allowing it not to work properly. This is why I want to get to version 3 of my testing methodology, but I can't get there without viewer help, Patreon, and YouTube memberships. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. CFM versus decibel rating, it's falling off. We already saw this kind of basic information. How about in terms of noise normalized values? So my two noise normalized values, CFM graphs. Bottom, it's a little bit off from the beaten pack at both my noise normalized values, but I wouldn't call it terrible. I just call it okay. At 100% PWM fan signaling, it's once again just kind of in an okay spot. Not exemplary, not terrible. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with buying an okay fan. They're just fans that are better than it. So it'll come down to what its value is in the last section of the video. CFM versus noise level compared to other fans. Again, bottom middle, we already saw it. Let's keep going. And now we're on to value. Value is performance per dollar. So a fan that is cheap enough, even if it has terrible performance, will rank really well in these graphs. Same way that a fan that might have an excellent performance, but if it's way too expensive, its value will be terrible nonetheless. So the X12F came out to be a $28.50 fan. It comes in, I think, single and triple packs. As a result, its value here is towards the bottom. It just doesn't have the amount of airflow needed for the price. I'm not set up to test longevity of fans and their bearings. It's something I'd like to add. So I don't know if their bearing is among the best and these fans will run forever. It's just not in my realm of testing, because that would be a way to justify a more expensive fan, is knowing its reliability. It's one of the reasons why Noctua gets recommended so much is their known quantity for how long their fans last. And I don't know enough about this brand realistically, and I'm not set up to be able to do the testing to validate any of this. CFM testing, it's towards the bottom, and through the CPU cooler, it's towards the bottom. It needs to drop in price to become a strong value pick for the performance this fan can deliver. And that brings me to my TLDR, or I should say, just brief recap of it. So here's the fan. How did it do for CPU low wattages? Assuming that the cooler that you're sticking this to can actually handle thermal load if you were to just slap one of these fans up to it. So think like doing a scrapyards war or something like that. Its performance was average. There's its rank. Its value was meh. For high-powered CPUs, it was actually a relatively good pick. And that's because it achieved 2.2 meters per second of airflow going through it, which I consider like kind of a minimum amount that you want for a higher power CPU. Cooler or high power CPU with a reasonable cooler. There's its rank, and its value was meh. For small and compact cases, its value is actually pretty good, even though its value is meh. Medium to large cases, its performance was average, but its value is meh once again. So here's the raw data. The raw data does belong to me and my channel. If you wish to use it for your own personal use, you may go ahead and do so. If you're going to use it for any monetary gain, I do ask that you reference me and my channel. After all, I'm the one who worked long and hard to generate it. So as I've talked about this channel, right now I've got a video partner, not really getting anything from that. It's fine though. And those of you who've become YouTube members and patrons, it's really making a long way in helping support this channel. I'm just slowly building it up and trying to get there to the next level, because I want to build up towards my version 3 of testing, where I'll be able to overhaul everything and generate significantly more and better data. But I just can't get there without viewer support. If I don't never get there, it's fine. This will just be the data in the form that it will kind of always be, and I'll do slight tweaks and iterations to it, but it'll always be more or less similar to this with the types of testing that happen. So I know asking for help supporting this channel through that is a hard ask, and not everybody's in a situation, especially with the economy right now, to support this channel. But if you would like the idea of what I'm doing and want to show your support, subscribing to the channel, throwing a like really does go a long way in helping this channel gain traction. Tell your friends. Because I'm basically here for you guys, because I didn't like the way anybody else created fan testing. So along the same lines, if you got suggestions on ways to improve videos, I'm always welcome to those. If you got fans you'd like me to take a look at, I've got a huge backlog, so I don't know when I'll be able to get to stuff. But if there's a fan you'd like me to take a look at, put it in the comment section below. I'll see when I can get around to it. Other than that, thank you very much for making this far in the video. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Computer Tech and More.